is 2.5 hours or 150 minutes. To practice this exam in your own PC, you can set up the RHCSA lab, and there are two methods of doing that. Either you can use the automatic exam setup using Vagrant. I have already provided you a detailed video on this topic with which you can easily set up the RHCSA 8 lab in your PC. And the second method is the manual method, where you create the virtual machines manually, and there you manually configure everything like free IP or DNS and the other servers. So either you can use the manual method or you can use the Vagrant method to set up the practice lab in your PC. Since we have already set up the practice lab by using Vagrant, there we have already set everything, and these are the details for the servers. And let me show you the lab. Here, 3 virtual machines are available: server 1, server 2, and the master repo server. In many cases, if the sufficient space is not available in your C drive, it will only set up 2 machines here. So that's not an issue. You can conduct the exam on those 2 machines as well. But if you want to create all the machines, make sure you have the sufficient space available, and after that you can again execute the Vagrant up command on the PowerShell. It will automatically deploy each and every machine there, including all the services. Now let me show you the question paper. This is the sample question paper for the RHCSA 8 exam. And here you have to keep in mind that while conducting this exam or while appearing in this exam, all the tasks are implemented with firewall and SE Linux enabled, and your server should be able to survive the reboot. So without wasting time, let's get started with the exam. Let's start the master repo server, as interrupt the boot process and reset the root password and change it to Red Hat to gain access to the system.
Let's go.
So we will go on the server number 1.
Reboot machine.
We can directly reboot the machine by clicking around the reset button.
Reset. Press E.
And as soon as it provides us the grub
I can
menu,
show you on my machine, but I already reset my password.
E key on the keyboard.
I think I already
then
forgot
we will go
it.
in the kernel parameters line,
We might
and
have
there
to
we will
reset
remove
again.
this RHGB quiet.
Remove
and here we will mention
RGHB quiet.
RD
RGB quiet. Put RD.break.
Space enforcing
Enforcing equals
is equal to 0.
0.
So it will boot up the machine in the single user mode, and since we have mentioned enforcing is equal to 0, it will make the SE Linux permissive and we don't need to relabel the files later. After that, we will press Ctrl and X on the keyboard, and it will provide us the prompt where we can fire the commands. So we are at the switch root prompt now, and here we can execute the mount command, mount-o, remount, read write / sysroot.
Nice.
After that, we will execute
What is going on? What is
chroot
going on?
/ sysroot.
HD please, HD please.
And
Auto
you can see that
360, 360, are you kidding
we are
me? 360.
in the root user account
Welcome.
without using the root password. There we don't need to do anything. We can directly execute the passwd command to change the root password, and we will provide the new password as Red Hat. After that,
Wow. I think I have to change my password again. I forgot it.
and
Wallahi,
we can log in
astaghfirullah.
in the machine
हर
as
वक्त
the
मैं
root
भूल
user
जाता हूँ.
by the password as Red Hat.
Because I don't
And we
make
can
it
follow
same as
the
my
same steps
Microsoft.
on the other machine also if required. So I'm not going to show you
So
that.
this is question number 1.
Let's log in
Interrupt
as
the
the
boot
root user.
process. Reset the password.
Here it is. Now we are in the root user account. Now I'm going to log in the machine from the mobile store because it will provide us the better view.
Oh, I could do that. I could do that too. I have mobile
So the
Strom.
IP address for
do
this machine
that.
is
What do I need? My IP
192.168.55.150.
and my
And let me
username
mention the username as Vagrant.
and the password.
Here it is. Now I will switch in the account of the root user by using the
Sudo
sudo su
su
command.
dash.
Here it is. So we have completed the first question. Now we have to set up the repositories, and repositories are
He
available
does repos
on the repo server, and these are the
in a
URLs.
different way.
So let me show you that the
Look,
repositories are not
DNF
configured on this
repo
machine.
list. All.
So I can execute the DNF repo list command, and let me go to the etc yum.repos.dev directory, and there are no repo files present. So there are 2 methods of configuring the repositories. Either we can create a file here and mention each and everything manually in that file, or we can do it by executing the DNF config manager command. I'm going to show you this with the help of command because it is
He's
very
going to
easy.
do with the command.
So we will mention DNF config manager --add -repo, and after that we will mention the URLs. So let me
Nice.
copy and
That's
paste
easy.
this URL.
That was very easy. Before we did it, we created it in the repos. It was hard.
Here,
This is very
this is for the
easy.
base OS. And
Subhanallah.
We will add the second one also, that is for the stream. So we will copy
So there's
this
two
URL
ways to
from
do
here
this, right?
and we will paste it.
This
on
is
the
the
document.
easiest way I have ever seen, mashallah. It was so fast. That was so fast.
Now, if you will execute the ls command, you will find two repository files in our machine. And with the help of these files, the repositories are configured.
That's crazy.
And we can execute the yum repository
That was so fast.
all command.
So if you know how to do it like
see
that,
whether the repositories are
on
enabled
test,
or not. So you can see that we have
can
successfully
pass it
configured
fast.
the repositories in our machine.
Subhanallah.
And we can follow the same process on the other machine as well.
Really? That's it? That was so fast.
Now, let's...
That was so fast because I want to show you the difference. Ready? Remember question 2, right? You saw how fast that was? Question number 2, right? He did it with what? Question number 2, he did it with this command. Remember this, okay? I want you guys to remember this.
Also, that is for the app stream. So we will copy this URL
So I want you guys
from
to remember this.
and
Ready?
we will paste it.
This is what he did, and he achieved question number 2, right? But this guy is he's just talking extra nonsense.
For server B, please reset the password and set the password something for XYZ. That will return.
So this guy's question number 2, you will see.
I'm saying, okay.
This is his question number 1.
Netmask pay to the workstation 550.com. So this actually replace your workstation as per your point.
And you see his question number 2.
Will be already.
What he did is NMTUI. And he's going to add the connection.
And there will be already a
he will edit the connection.
Then here
show
you need to
manual
to manual, and then so, and
then you
now
show
you
and you add the iPad.
Okay. So in dot 168.
Then you add the gateway with the DNS.
Connection.
Then you activate.
Come out, activate your connection, and come back. Set your host name. So
and then you set your host name.
What in my case is saying server apps.example.com something. So let me set it there. Server A. Whatever the host name they will.
So you set the server host name.
And to set my gateway.
Host name.
Everything will be fine definitely, but set there. So set correctly. Then we have route -n to set my gateway. Sorry, to check my gateway. Yes, it is also set there.
What's his question number 2 compared to the other guys?
However, you set it with NMTS, everything will be fine definitely, but just quickly you can verify that if these things are set correctly or not. But it was not mask gateway, DNS.
So watch his question number 2. Watch this now.
Or you can take the remote. If you remember what I told you, set the network configurations. Now you know the IP address, right? And you can remotely access it. Example.com, something like this is all available. Oh, server A. Let me take the remote with SSL server A. Totally open. It's up to you how you want to manage this, right? Server A. This is question 1 here, but obviously your exam this will be the part of instructions, right? The idea of this exam preparation is to get you familiarized with what you will see in the exam. If not, the sequence will be same. The sequence can be varied. The name can be varied. IP address can be varied. These things can be varied in the exam as well, right?
This is going to be probably
so
question 1.
First question from our discussion. Any doubt
It'll
anyone
be
has?
part.
Question number 1.
You have to configure it before you get even started.
Now
So watch his
question
question number 2.
Now question number 2 is saying
Watch
configure
this.
your server VM repository.
Ready?
Install
Pause.
the
So watch this. Pause. So this guy's number 2, he did question number 2 with just one command. He did DNF config manager. He add -f and add repo. Then he add base OS. Then he added yum repos app stream. So he added it with one command. This guy. It's a different method, completely different from this guy's, and you will see the big difference right now.
Is available via yum. Okay. So yum server.
This guy's going to do a different technique.
I can create the file with any name.
See, he's just going to create a file.
We need to go
Old
inside
school.
etc yum.repos.d. I can create
Yum vim etc yum.repos.d
Let's suppose I can say
package.repos.
Okay. And we'll write
Inside there, he's going to add base OS name.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I remember this. Yes, sir. Fine. अब समझ आ गई हमको भी. Don't worry. Base name equals base OS. चल base. Base URL. Then you add the URL. You copy it. This is another method, but look how much time it's taking compared to the other method.
And then GPG check is equal to 0. 1, 2, 3,
GPG
4.
check equals to 0.
These 4 lines, we'll paste it, or you can write it again. But I have copied this, the app, we'll change the app and paste the another URL. So it is, just verify that.
Compared to the other method. This is that method. ये दूसरी method है जी. ये दूसरी method है. So strange. This is another method, guys. Stop. Bismillah. Yeah, move. Oh. Stop. Yeah, so bad. Perfect. So this is one
Okay.
method.
And we're fine now. Now,
He did
here's
this.
it, right? So I copy
This
this not
was.
content, right? Paste it up
He
and
copied and
GPU
pasted
check,
it. Yum repo list.
right? And if everything is fine, so we are good with this question.
You're good with this question? Yeah, that was a very long, good question. So this guy's method is completely different. Look at this method, yeah? This is to show you guys. Bismillah. You can do it either with one command or you can create a file. Okay, perfect. So on the test, you can use either or. Look, ready? This guy, okay, ready? He does number 2. Ready?
Repositories. And repositories are available on the repo server,
Watch this.
and these are the URLs. So let me show you that the repositories
DNF
are not configured on
repo
this machine. So I can execute
Oh,
the
look at
DNF
this,
repo list
look at
command, and let me go to the etc yum.repos.d
It is
directory,
yum.repository.
and there are no repo files present.
Red Hat repo.
So there are two methods of configuring the repositories. Either we can create a file here and
Either you can create a file here, like the other guy.
mention each and everything manually in that file,
Mention each and everything manually in the file.
or we can
Or-
do it by executing the DNF config manager command.
Please do it like this. Save yourself time. Before I did not know this. I knew only the other way. And it was easy, hard, easy. But I like this.
I'm going to show you this with the help of command
Config
because it is very easy.
hyphen man
So we will mention DNF config manager
manager
hyphen add
hyphen add
repo,
hyphen repo.
and after that we will mention
URL.
the URLs.
Voila.
So let me copy and paste
That's
this
it.
URL
That's it.
here. This is
Press enter. Voila. But you gotta know this command DNF config manager hyphen add hyphen
for the
repo.
base OS, and we will add the second one also. That is
Second
for the
one.
app stream.
Look what he did.
For the base
He
OS,
did the same. He did the same.
and we will
So
add
he
the,
pressed the same command. Now he's gonna delete. He's gonna delete all of this, and then he's gonna add the URL of the
the
app
second one
stream.
also. That is for the app stream.
So he
So
did
we
that. Then he added this app stream. That's it.
Copy this URL from here, and we will paste it on the terminal. Now, if you will execute the ls command, you will find two repository files
Two repos
in
are
our
there
machine.
now.
And with the help of these files, the repositories are configured, and we can execute the yum repo list all command to see whether the repositories are enabled or not. So you can see that we have successfully configured the repositories in our machine, and we can follow the same process on the other machine as well. Now let's proceed towards the question number 3. Here, the system time should be set to your time zone and ensure that the NTP sync is configured. So let me execute the time zone and ensure that the NTP sync is configured. So let me execute the time date CTL command. So NTP is active and the clock is also synchronized, but we are going to ensure whether all the settings are correct as per the requirement. So we will manually check each and everything, and we will configure it if it is not configured earlier. So let me first set the time zone, because there we need to set the local time zone. So here we can execute time.ctl set hyphen time zone command, and in the double quotes we will mention here Asia/call Kata.
So that's his question number 3.
The NTP sync
The
is
system
configured.
time should be set to your time
So
zone.
let me execute the time.ctl command.
So here's his time date CTL
So
command.
NTP is active and the
NTP
clock
is
is also
active.
synchronized, but we are going to ensure whether all the settings are correct as per the requirement. So we will manually check each and everything, and we will configure it if it is not configured earlier. So let me first set the time zone, because there we need to
Time
and
date
in the double
control
quotes,
set
we will
time
mention here
zone
after that,
Asia Kolkata.
we can execute
That's
the
what he
time.ctl
did.
command.
Time
We
date
can
control
mention
set
yes,
NTP. Yes.
whether the crony is already installed in that to install it manually, and this is.
Voila. So
So this package, this service, we will opt for the data, and the zone is
That's
now
a
we can
lot
see
of
that
stuff.
server one using the network IP DNS.
Right. Questions with the question number 2. Anyone? Fine. Now question number 3. This question is for SLNX port, some kind of troubleshooting for the SLNX. It's saying, in your system, HTTP service has some file in variable vestibule. Do not change or alter those files. Okay, we will not do that. Now solve the problem. HTTP service of your system having some issue. Service is not running on port number 82. Right? That is the question. Again, I'm repeating. This is just a kind of sample. There, in that case, the statement could be changed, right? There could be some statement will be there. Port number could be different. Path will be different. Name will be different. So that can be changed in the exam. Okay. Now, ultimately, we need to solve the problem of SLNX in this question, right? So if I will come back to my server and try to restart the HTTP service, HTTP. So it's saying it's A, and ultimately we need to solve the problem.
So what he did is straight up, you just went system control restart HTTP.
So it's saying it's failed, right? Now once you
who does that?
Do system CTL.
He didn't check anything. He just went for a restart straight up for the kill button.
I can remove this. Yeah. System CTL space HTTP. That.
So he's saying it's failed.
Yes, it's getting failed, and it's getting failed on 82 port number. Right? What are the part? And yeah, SE man, that is the command.
SE man.
Context, you can do port space -L and grep the 80 port number.
Grep port 80 number. Why do you not command? Hey. Yeah. Grep 80, grep 80. Security enhanced Linux is used to manage the network port. Context definition, the -L option lists all defined port contacts and piping the output to grep 80. Filters the results to show only the lines that include port number 80. SE Linux and SE manage port command allows administrators to manage SE Linux port contacts. Command breakdown, list all SE Linux port contacts, grep 80 lines using port 80. This filter list shows containing 80, which typically includes HTTP, HTTPS, ports 80. Nice. Which is HTTP actually. This is HTTP right there.
And find out what is the context for SEMAN, yeah. SEMAN, that is the command. Now I can do port space -L and grep the 80 port number and find out what is the context for 80 port number, right? So somewhere you will see the 80 port number. T80, this is what.
It should say HTTP right there. HTTP port. So what's the issue? The issue is it's not running on this. So.
Right? The port number of 80 has a context level STP_port_T, and you're not able to see 82 port number at this point.
Well, you're not supposed to see
82 port number, right? And this is not there in 82 port number. Okay, so we need to change the context level of 82 port number. SE manage space port space -A for add, T for context level type, and that will be HTTP_port_T. You can copy paste from the top about this HTTP_port_T, and then -P TCP and your port number 82.
Audio.
And then -P TCP and your port number 82. T for context level type, and that will be HTTP_port_T. You can copy paste from the top about this HTTP_port_T. And then -P TCP and your port number 82. Once you run this command, it should be visible. Either you can get 82 port number there, 82 port number. Let's see. Now we can see HTTP_port_T is applied on 82 port number.
Nice.
Then after, if you will run system secure space restart
HTTP.
This should be run. Then after, if you will run system secure space restart HTTP.
That's a whole lot of memorization. इतना दिमाग की capacity है.
Yes.
Astaghfirullah, so many
Just verify the
questions.
status.
System controller status, HTTPD.
Status, it's fine.
To check the status, then
Precautionary,
you go
just
system
enable the
control,
service.
enable
Hashtag
it.
UPB. However,
Just precautionary. Just precautionary.
status, it's fine. Precautionary, just
Obviously, you have to
the service.
enable it if you want,
Hashtag
you know, it to be started up after you restart. Voila. It should be normal.
However, the service is by default enable in exam, but I would suggest you to run this command, enable this. Then after, if you will try to do curl space server A,
Server A,
and
82.
colon 82 port number, or whatever the host name you will have, like server A dot A and colon 82 port number. Or whatever the host name you will have, you will be able to.
Then he put the host name. He did not add the. He did not add the.
A dot
So look,
example dot com
you can
and
do.
colon 82 port number.
You can either do this like this,
Or
or
whatever the host name you will have,
you
like
can
server
do
A dot example dot com
like
colon
this.
82
That's it.
port number.
Bismillah.
So you will be able to see the page. Right?
That's
Any
it.
questions? Anyone
No
has
sir,
question
no
number
sir,
3?
no sir, no sir.
Okay then. Proceed to question number 4. Now
Nice.
create the following user
Beautiful.
groups and group membership.
Clear. Yeah, clear. Beautiful.
Okay. Now the group name should be sysadm. Then we need to create user Harry and it should be part
Who belongs
of
to
the sysadm group.
sysadm as a secondary
And
group.
we also need to create the
Natasha, who belongs to
the group
sysadm as a
secondary
secondary
group.
group. Then Sarah, who does not have access
Then
to
you
an
should not
interactive
have
shell,
the interactive shell
who is
and
not a
should not be
member of
the same
sysadm group.
Okay. Then Harry, Natasha and Sarah
Harry,
should all have the
and Sarah should
password.
all have password of password.
Sysadm
इनका सब
group
का password एक कर दो. Sysadm
has
group
access to add
has
user in the
access to
service.
add users in the
Right?
server. Harry has the access to set password for users without asking sudo password. Let's say Harry is like manager. The manager has access to set password. You can give them special permissions without asking for sudo password.
Harry user has access to set password for users without asking sudo. Right? This is what we need to do. I will come back to the system and then. So we start from beginning. Means we need to create group
Add sysadm.
Right? Then we need to add the user.
User
So user
add.
add -g sysadm and Harry. Again, if I am
Sysadm
writing this
is the
command, so
group
this is
name.
not the only way. If you want to add the user, then you want to add the group, you can also do that. Why I'm telling you this approach, because this will actually save your time. Right? In exam, everything matters. Means the time is basically very matter in that.
Time
right?
matters.
So that's why I'm showing you writing this command just to add the user and add the user in the sysadm group as well. Both things will be happening in the single command.
Same command.
So user add -g sysadm and the
Now
Harry.
add
Similarly,
Natasha.
we can do user add -g sysadm
Natasha.
and NATAS such as Natasha. Right? Another last user sysadm.
No.
Okay, sorry. That Harry should, Sarah
Sarah
should not be a part of this group, right? That is what in the question.
Is,
And it should also not have
hyphen
interactive
S.
system. So non-interactive system is
S
/no login.
No login.
No login. And SARA at Sarah.
Sarah.
So as per my question, with /no login. No login. And SARA at Sarah. So as per my question, we said Harry, Natasha, Sarah, we created the user and we didn't provide the cell to the Sarah user and it is not a part of that group also. Now all the users should have the password of password. So pass WD and Sarah should have the password of password. Right, and NAT. Such a set the password whatever put in the exam, then similarly for the Harry.
Very nice.
Sure.
Sir. यार वो सर कर देते हैं सर.
one question. Can we able to add Harry and Natasha together in one command?
Together in one command.
No,
Good question.
Different user, then we can
He
add
said
one
no.
on one person.
Good question.
What?
I'm happy they ask questions like that because I want to ask these
Now,
questions.
sysadian group should have the add user in the server. Add user. So it means, let's suppose user add. I need to search for the
Which
path.
user
This is my-
add?
the path of my user add.
Oh, this
Okay?
is hard.
And then we have the command for VS user, right?
You
That
should
is how we
really
can give the path.
naturally know
This
this.
is the
Which
path of
user
my
add to get the path of. ये कैसे करना है?
user add. Okay. And then we have the command for VS user, right?
You
That
use
is how you can
sudo
give the
and
process
under
sudo
there
for
you
users.
go.
Anywhere you can write. Anywhere you can write. Why I'm suggesting you to go at the bottom because there are some examples there. That's all. Otherwise you can put it in anywhere. Now for any kind of group we need to use percent.
Group is percent.
Percent in the group name. Group name is what?
Sysadian
And
all
then all is
equals
equal to, we can
all.
paste the command. Simple. Another is Harry, who should have access paste the command. So password means what? Which password? Harry, who should have
Sysadian group has access. So the last one was there. That was the last one.
access to set the password.
Then Harry has access to set the
means
password.
what?
Which password?
password would be?
Nice. After this, you will go.
So USR will password would be. So for Harry means for user we do not need to put percent, right? But one more condition it is that is saying that without asking the pseudo password. So it means what? We need to write like this: no pass WD and colon. There they come.
Nice. What is it? User bin password. Which? Earlier it was which user add. Which user add, and it gives you
That
admin.
is how you can give the permissions to global users. Anywhere you can write. Anywhere you can write. Why I'm suggesting you to go at the bottom because there are some examples there. That's all. Otherwise you can put it in anywhere. Now, for any kind of group we need to use percent.
For group we use percent and group name sysadm
And then
all
all is
equals
equal to,
all.
we can paste the command. Simple.
All equals user
Another is
add.
Harry, who should have access to set the password. So password means what? Which password?
Which password?
So USR will password will be. So for Harry means for user we do not need to put percent, right? But one more condition it is that is saying that without asking pseudo password. So it means what?
Harry
We need
all
to write like
equals
this.
all.
No
password.
WD and colon. There they come.
You put the password. Command.
Let's suppose if in exam they will ask you to give Harry to full access. So what I can do, means what we can do, all space, all. Harry and then all no after this without pseudo password, then we can provide. And then all no. Okay. So as for the question, it puts like this. So you can put it. In this one. Anyways, let me save this file. Anyways, let me save this file. So we said created the group, created the user, set it into the group, added the user in the group, set the password. We also define the sysadian as a group to add the user in the server and the Harry user to set the password without asking to the password. Yeah. Any questions? Anyone has question number 4?
No, sir.
Let me go then question number 5. Now the question number 5 is saying create a collaborative directory /server/sysadmin with the following characteristics.
Group ownership of shares
So the group owner
sysadmin.
of this directory is sysadian.
That already
The
will
directory
be
should be
there.
readable, writable, and accessible to the member of
Readable,
sysadian,
writable.
but not to any other user. Right? It is understood that root has access to all files and directory. Obviously, yes. Now the files created in this directory automatically have group ownership set to sysadmin. Because this is what your SDID, right? So we need to add the SDID there. And with this question, we need to make sure that that directory should be readable, writable, and accessible to the member of sysadian.
Writable
not
and
other.
readable.
Okay? So it means we need to give the permission of 7 to the group owner, right? And other 0. Now let me create this directory. mkdir. -p/share/sys user. Or what is that? Sysadmin. Sysadmin.
Make directory -p parent shared and sysadm in there.
Then it's saying it should be readable, writable. Sorry, group ownership should be sysadm. So sys
Change.
grp chgrp sysadm and the
Sysadm is the owner.
folder name. The chmod 2770. Right? 2 for SGID, S7 for your user owner, and 7 for your group ID, group owner, and 0 for others. You don't need to give any permissions to others. So we set it to
RCSA Linux. Red Hat certified
any
system
questions
admin.
from question number 5. Okay. Set a cron job for user Natasha. That should run.
Set a cron job that should run daily every 1 minute local time and executes EX200
It could be
with logger.
every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes. They can also ask you to set it to some specific time on every day, right? So, cron tab.
Yes, like RHCSE. Yes, this is RHCSA. RHCSE is more complex. I did before both of them, but I like RHCSE and RHCSA. RHCSE is more complex. It's engineering.
And every day.
So this run every
1,
minute.
2, 3, 4, 5, and
Runs every 1 minute.
I'm sorry.
EX
Logger
testing.
and EX 200 testing like this. Okay, or just do it. Nice.
Hey, good man.
Okay, let me save this file. Nice. Okay, let me save this file. But for example, if they will ask you like 30, 40 on every day, means 230 every day. So you need to set up
230 every day. Two 30.
it like this one. 30, 40 on every day, means 230 every day. So you need to set it like this one. Okay?
12,
If they
1
change
is
the
13,
timing in the contact,
14
you
is
need to
2.
Make sure that you should put in the correct fund. Okay? Save this one, come out, and just make sure that systemctl
Restart.
restart groundly, it should be running. Right? And verify that if it's set correctly or not. So instead of E, you can put -L. And you'll be able to see yes, it has been set correctly.
Says right there, *1.
Any questions?
No, sir, thank you. Very good man.
Question number 7. Configure AutoFS to auto-mount the home directory of NetUserX. Note the following things there. So NetUserX home directory is exported via NFS. So there's already an NFS service configured. And from there, this NetUserX home directory is shared. And which is available from classroom.example.com. And that could be the IP address of Classroom. And your NFS export directory is /netdir.
Oh god. Too much shit.
From there, it should be shared from your NFS server. NetUserX home directory should be auto-mount by using AutoFS service. Home directory must be writable by the user, which is by default. All the home directories will be writable by the user, so we do not need to do anything for this one. And password of NetUser is Albert.
Albert.
Now to perform all these questions, it is
Albert.
questions for auto mounting, right? So we need to use the auto.
Chalo, Ustad.
right?
Chalo.
Driving the Nissan Rogue with Google built in.
Nissan is amazing.
Google, turn on Rocky's Food.
of all, we should have two packets.
Mercedes better.
One is called NFS
Yum install NFS
and
utils.
second one is AUT AutoFS.
AutoFS.
These two packages.
Yum install NFS utils and AutoFS. You gotta get these two packages. Packages.
Second one is AUT AutoFS. These two packages we should have.
Thank you. Shoot
And
it.
the second one is AUT AutoFS. These two packets we should have. And second one is AUT AutoFS. These two packages we should have. Right? Put yes there. Auto.master. Auto.master. Go inside this folder. You can write anywhere. Why I'm writing this? Just for an example. So in my system where those shared directories should be mounted on /netdir. So I will write there /netdir. Right? And this netdir should be mounted with this location. So that we will write it etc auto.misc file. Auto.misc file. Right? Save this. Write it etc auto.misc file. Auto.misc file. Right? Save this. Come out and open that file etc auto.misc. Why am I writing here? Just for the example there. So here the example is now it's saying that the net user X home directory. Net user X again X registration number, X registration number. So net user X home directory should be mounted in /netdir. Okay. So it means I will write there so that the net user X home directory. Net user X again X here file with this location anywhere.
So install those two packages.
Called etc auto.master. Auto.master. Go inside this folder. You can write anywhere. Why I'm writing this?
Just for an example.
So in my system where those shared directories should be mounted on /netdir. So I will write there /netdir. Right? And this netdir should be mounted with this location. So that we will write it etc auto.misc file. Auto.misc file. Right?
Really? It's already there. Okay.
Come out and open that file etc auto.misc.
Strange man.
Why am I writing here? Just for the example there. So here the example is now it's saying that
What the fuck? Okay, so your NFS exports directory is netdir for net user. Net user's X home directory is classroom.
the net user X home directory. Net user X again X registration number. X registration number. So net user X home directory should be mounted in /netdir.
Okay, and
so
we did know.
I will write there.
You have to do it now.
I'm taking net user one there. Okay? Obviously, in the exam you will take as per your seat number or the station number. And then I can type there -fs type is equal to NFS because it is coming from NFS, right? And then RW comma sync.
Read, write, sync.
You can write there RW comma sync, and then as per the question, it is coming from this location, right? So let's copy this. Whole path, and paste it there. And instead of little X, I will write little 1. Save it, come out, system city, restart, auto-FS. Whatever service you are going to restart in the exam, do not forget to enable that. Do not forget to, because if your machine will be get rebooted, so the login with user 1. We check last daysmustballoon.example.com. Yeah, that was the problem. Let me go to my machine. This is my NFS. It is running. Sorry, NFS server. Yeah, it is running. Firewall
-cmd
install.
Install, reload.
Let me add this. There's a problem with the port number.
Port number.
Permanent. Add service
NFS, Lord, Libert. That's his issue. Don't worry about that. And
RPC bind.
RPC bind.
And the next one is SSL mounting.
Where do you see that? Libvert. That's his issue. You guys don't gotta do this.
Strange.
Very strange. Shit,
Oh, I'm sorry. Fireball-CMD-F1.
Reload.
Perfect. Fine now. So now if I will switch to this user, so it is working fine. Perfect. Fine now. So now if I will switch to this user, so it is working fine. Okay. This thing you do not need to do an exam because this is what the server problem. So
He said this is the server problem he had. It's not on the exam.
those will be already added in the part as a part of the exam. Okay.
My etc backup
Okay.
data should be
Then question number 8. Create tar archive of /etc directory
backup.
.bzip to
Before you make a change,
and the tar archive name
delete,
should be
add,
my
migrate.
backup.tar. And should be
First
placed
thing
in
you should
/root
always
directory.
do is make a backup.
Okay. So /root directory means, okay, just a minute, let me go to my server. Yeah, server. So come out from this NetUX. Huh? Now /root directory means go to your root directory. Then after the question is saying create a tar archive. So what I can do, tar space -cv, and it's saying it .bgp. So bgp, for bgp we have small g, right? If they will ask you gz, then we have z. Huh? If they will ask you xz, then there will be option called capital Z. So j, then f, then the name will be what? My etc backup.tar. My etc value, because they asked us to compress in bgp.
Voila. See, he explained it, right? CVJ.
My app to tar space -cv, and it's saying it .bgp. So bgp, for bgp we have small g, right? If they will ask you gz, then we have z. Huh? If they will ask you xz, then there will be option called capital Z. So j, then f, then the name will be what? My etc backup.tar. My etc will /etc. Right. So it should be in bgp to extension. bgp to extension.
My
Then /etc. Yes.
shoot यार charge ही नहीं हो यार phone है क्यों?
Backup.tar, and we'll put bj2 as well because they asked us to compress in bj2 extension. bj2 extension. Then /etc. It is us to compress in bj2 extension. bj2 extension. And we'll put bj2 as well because they asked us to compress in bj2 extension. bj2 extension. Then /etc.
Should replace the room.
Yeah, that's it. Any questions with question number 8?
The file is owned by the root user. FSTab belongs to the group root. FSTab should not be executed by anyone. Natasha is able to read and write. Harry can neither read nor write.
Fine then. Now question number 9. Copy the file /etc/fstab file to VAT TMP. Configure the permission of /VAT TMP fstab so that the file this is owned by root user and the file this belongs to group root. This file should not be executable by anyone. So whenever you copy any file with root, so by default that will be owned by root user. It means for the first
Natasha
one, you will
can
not be
only
able
able
to
to
right?
read and write. Harry
The second
can
thing is the file
neither
this should belong to group.
write
So
nor
obviously when we
read.
copy any file with the root user or any user, So it will be owned by that user, and the group owner will be also the same name. So again, for this one, we do not need to do anything.
And all others
Now, this
only
file should
have
not be
read.
executable. So by default, all the regular files are not executable. So again, for this point, no action required there. But now the user Natasha is able to read and write this file. That point we do not need. So it will be owned by that user. So obviously, when we copy any file with the root user or any user, so it will be owned by that user, and the group owner will be also the same name. So again, for this point, we do not need to do anything.
Yeah.
Now this file should not be executable. So by default, all the regular files are not executable. So again, for this point, no action required there. But now the user Natasha is able to read and write this file. That we need to do with the set FSU. User Harry can neither write nor read for this file. So again, set FSU. All the other users, current or future, have the ability to read this file. So that is the default permission. So all the files have the permissions of R, right? So current or future user will be able to read that file. Go back to my system. Let me /var/tmp.
Copy there.
Then if you will see, F tab, sorry. So you will see that these three things already there. So it is
Nice. Read.
owned by root, group owned by root.
Perfect.
Has read only, it do not have any executable permissions. And the last part is all other current or features should have read ability. So there is the read permission only there. So rest of the two part, we need to use set FSCL. Set FSCL, column, read write, and the file.
So if you need to special permissions, you do set FSCL, Harry.
After Natasha, there will be Harry. And it should be only
No, nothing.
no permissions.
No permissions for Harry.
It should have no permissions. You can verify that, get FSCL and the file. Right. Any questions? Question number 9.
No.
Question number 10. Configure your system to synchronize the time with clock.
Can we take a break? Let's take a break. And the break is, we will do other. Okay, this is the break.
Classroom.example.
You have over 800 million people that are expected to struggle
This is the
with
break
food insecurity
here.
over the next decade, and we find.
So,
We're on question 9. Right, we're question 9 on that. We're on question
and gateway
4 on
settings
this.
as mentioned above in the instructions.
This is
and if
our
not,
break.
make the necessary
Back and
corrections.
forth.
So let's check
We're almost
the
done.
details for the server 1. Here, the IP address is this, DNS is this, and gateway is this. So let's check
If
the adapters
config,
by executing the config command, and gateway is this. So let's check the adapters by executing the config command, and here we have two adapters. ETH0, it is using 4.8 KB of data, and ETH1
is 112, which is active.
112.3. So this is the active adapter. So we can open its file to see the details. So let's go to the etc sysconfig
sysconfig
network-scripts directory and open
scripts,
the
cat.
adapter file ifcfg eth 1. And here
You can check all the
everything
stuff.
looks good. IP address is the
It
same,
looks
which
good,
is mentioned
good.
there in the document. DNS is also same. So everything looks good here. We don't need to make any changes. We can proceed further.
Okay.
The next question is, add the following secondary IP address statically to your current running interface. And it should be done in such a way that it does not compromise your existing settings. So we
Okay.
need to add this IPv4 address there and IPv6 address there to the active interface. We know that ETH1 is our active interface here. So let's see the
So,
details first by
NMCLI.
running the nmcli connection show command.
Connection show. and this gives you voila, and the ETS 0 is right there.
One. Right.
Connection
And after that, we will
modify,
mention the name.
system,
That is system
ETH1.
space ETH1. We are giving a backward slash here for giving the space, and there we will add the IP address. So we will mention here plus
the IP address.
IPv4 dot address, and we will mention the IP address which we want to add. So this is the IP address which we are going. So connection reload command, and again we can execute nmcli connections show, and this time we will mention the name of the connection, and here connections show, and this time we will mention the name of the connection.
क्या ज़माना है, क्या ज़िंदगी है. Whoever thought you'll be screenshotting stuff like this. That's so blurry. Perfect.
And here it is. Our IP address should be visible here.
Right there.
Let's check. Here it is. So we have successfully added the IPv4 address. Now we will add the IPv6 address to this adapter.
Same way.
So we can
NMCLI
execute
connection
NMCLI
modify,
connection
modify manual,
and the name of the
system
interface
ETH1,
IPv6 dot method manual IPv6 dot addresses, and we will mention the IP address which we want to set. So we can copy it from here and paste it. Now we will again reload the connections. So nmcli connection show command, and we will mention ETH1 there. Again we will check by executing the nmcli connection.
shit,
show command, and we will mention ETH1 there, and here we will check for the IP which we mentioned here. Let's proceed further. The next question is enable packet forwarding on server 1, and it should persist after reboot. So we are on the server 1, and here we will enable IP forwarding. So we can open the /etc/sysctl.conf file in BI editor, and here we will add a new line, and in this line we will mention net.ipv4.ip_forward is equal to 1.
Beautiful. 1 means it's active.
And we will save this file.
Okay, good. VIM etc system control.
So let me check whether the IP forwarding was enabled earlier or not. So we can execute cat proxys net IPv4 IP_forward.
It shows 0. Yeah.
So it was not enabled earlier. Now we have to reboot
Restart.
the machine to enable it, because we have already made an encoding this ctl-p command also, but we want to make sure that it must
Yo, man, what's up? Sure.
whether the IP forwarding forwarding is enabled successfully or not. Our machine is back. Let's switch in the account of the root user and again check whether we have successfully
It's
enabled
one.
the IP forwarding or
Voila.
not. So again, we will open the
It is
proxys
one.
at IPv4 IP_forward file, and here it is. This time it is showing the result as one. So we have successfully
It's
enabled it.
active.
Now let's
It is active.
proceed towards the next question.
So one should boot
The
in
second question
multi-user
is,
target
server
by
should
default
boot in
and
the
boot
multi-user
message should be
target by
present.
default, and let's TL
System control,
and we will
set
verify the same by
default
running the
multi-user,
test_user.target
get
IPv4
default, it is multi-user now.
hold.
I think that was pretty easy.
So we have successfully enabled the multi-user.target as the default run level or the default target.
But what's the issue
We will
is,
open the /etc/default/grub file in the editor, and
for
and
the
now we are going to check, or we are going to
boot
enable
messages,
the boot messages. So for that, we will open the /etc/default/grub file in
grub file.
the editor, and there we will go to this line grub_cmd line_linux, and at the end of this line
Already
RHGB
done,
quite
right?
is mentioned. So what
He's
we will
going
do,
to
we
delete
will simply
RH.
go in the insert mode
He's going to
and we will
delete that,
remove this RHGB quite, and after that we will save this file.
and that's it. Save
Now,
it.
since we have made the corrections, we have to regenerate the
MK.
grub.cfg file. So for that, we will execute
Okay, grub
2-mk config
MK config.
grub 2-mk config -o/boot. We will mention the exact path grub2, and we will mention
What
here
the
grub.cfg. Press enter, so it will regenerate
Regenerate.
the grub.cfg file as per the new settings. Now we can reboot the machine and we will check if we are able to see the boot messages or not. Press enter. And let's go to our machine and we will check whether we can see the boot messages.
There you see the boot messages.
So we have successfully enabled the boot multi-user count of the root user in systemctl get-default command, and here it is. Machine is booting up in the multi-user.target. As VG exam.
Create a new volume group of 3 GB having name as VG exam. I finally started to drink coffee
So let's
again.
go to the machine and there we will check for the additional disks
LSBLK.
if they are present there. So with the help of LSBLK command, I can see that there are two disks present, SDB and SDC. So out of these two, one of the disks we can use. So we are going to use the disk as SDB here to create the volume group. For more details, we can execute fdisk-l command, and here we can see that on SDA there are two partitions and the dev/SDB.
So he created
And for new,
N for new,
P for primary,
P for primary,
partition number
one partition.
And here we are going to create a partition of 3 GB. So we can write here plus 3072M.
Updates dev SDB.
So a partition of 3 GB has been created. Now we can change the type.
Type 80.
Here we will change the type to Linux LVM. So we can write here 8E.
Perfect.
And after that we will write the changes. We will simply press W and press enter here. Now we can execute the part pro command so that the kernel can read these changes. Press W and press enter here. Now we can execute the part pro command so that the kernel can read these changes. Now, if I will execute fdisk-l /dev/sdb, here the partition of 3 GB would be visible. Or we can see the details of the same /dev/sdb. Here, the partition of 3 GB would be visible. Or we can see the details of the same by executing the rsblk command as well. So here, we can see that the partition is visible. Now we are going to use this using the rsblk command as well. So here, we can see that the PV create /dev of the same by PV1. So the physical volume has been created.
The physical volume is created. That's all. The physical volume is created.
And we can see volume groups present on this physical volume. Now, we are going to create this volume group, which is VG exam. So we will mention VG create, VG exam, and after that we will mention the name of the physical volume here.
SDB1.
That is /dev/sdb1. Here it is. We have successfully created the volume group as VG exam of 3 GB. And we can see the details of the same by executing the VGS command.
Perfect.
So this is the volume group of 3 GB, and it will be visible in the output of PVS also. So here the entry is present. Now let's proceed. PVS also. So
Now
here
let's proceed.
the entry is present. Now let's proceed
We did
further.
question 9 with the other guy, and we're gonna do question 9 with him. Then we're gonna have a rest.
Now let's go to question number 9. Here,
10
it is
tomorrow
asking
with
us to
both of
create
them.
a new logical volume of 1 GB having name as LV exam on VG exam volume group. So let's go to of 1 GB. Now let's go to question number 9. Here, volume group. After that we will mention the
That's it.
we give the name LV exam. So we will write here LV exam created, and we can see the details of the
That's
same
it.
by executing the LVS command.
Perfect.
So the LV exam logical
Nice.
volume of 1 GB is created on the lsblk command as well. So this is the disk SDB, and this is the physical volume SDB1. This is the volume group, which is VG exam, and this is the logical volume, which is showing up here as LV exam. So this is the disk SDB, and this is the. We're done with the question number 9.
We're down to question number
Now we can
9.
proceed to
The
question
LV
number
exam
10.
logical volume should be
The question number
formatted with the
10 is saying
XFS
the
file
LV exam
system
logical
and
volume.
mount persistently. And this guy's number 10 is this.
Question number 10. Config.
Configure your system to synchronize the time from phone classroom. Anyways, I'm gonna go. I'm done. I'm tired. I gotta sleep.
Question number 20. According to the
For log.
F5 standard, var and log. So I can also show you cd var log. So if you see all the different types of cd var log. So if you see all the different types of logs are present in this directory. Question number 21. What
22.
port must be open to ping a given host?
You don't need.
Okay.
There's
so
no
let's see.
ping, don't use port.
Okay, so that's the answer. Question number 22. How will you transfer the file from a Linux server
SCP.
to your Windows operating system and vice versa? So, file transfer between different operating systems, like from Windows to Linux, or SSH, FTP, SFTP means secure
SSH,
file transfer
FTP,
protocol, and
SFTP,
tools. We have
and
some
tools like
implement tools command that
WinCP
we can
and
use,
FileZilla.
like WinSCP or FileZilla. Question number 23. Can you split a file into two? If yes, then how? For example, we have a file and I want to split it into two. How you can get
Cat,
it?
no.
First, we need to
Sort file
with
name
the
unique.
sorted values. So first, you need to sort the values in the list and then use the unique. So right, and you just need the list and using the split command.
Split command.
What want to split it into two? How I can do it? So yes, we can do it and
Split
using the split
hyphen
command.
L.
Question number 24.
3.
How you can do it? So yes, we can do it and using the split command. Question number 24. How you can get the unique values from our list? Okay, suppose you have a list in a file, maybe, right? And you just need the unique values out of it. How you can do it? Answer is, so first we need to sort the values of the file, okay? And then we need to use the unique command. So unique command only works with the sorted values. So first you need to sort the values in the list and then use the unique command to get the unique values. Question number 25. Using the VI editor, how will you edit and save a file? So, for example, VI and save a file. So, for example, VI and file. Okay.
Then
Suppose
you
the
escape.
name of the file is file. Okay.
You insert
in the file,
I.
if you need to edit something, just press I to insert, and then you can start typing like hi, hello.
Then you do
Once you're
escape.
done with the editing, you can just press escape
Colon,
then
WQ.
shift plus colon, and then WQ, save and exit, and come out of your editor. You can also read the file, cat file. So hi, hello. In this way, you can edit it. Question number 26. What is the difference between find and locate command? Very useful command to search the files in our system.
Find
so,
and
locate command search in its own database and you will need to keep updating the database. The only difference is, and the problem is, whenever there is some changes happening or you are creating the new files, you need to keep update this database so that
That's so sad.
locate command can find those files. Otherwise, find command search the file in the entire file system. What is the T command used for? T command, T-E-E. For example, PWD command, okay? And if you use this pipe sign T and the file name, let's say file 1, okay? So you will see the output of this command PWD on the terminal, and at the same time, it redirected the output in the file 1 also, get file 1. So see, like this, okay? Question number 28, what is X-args used for? Okay, X-args. Multiple tabs in the
Someone called to ask if I know anyone in Iowa.
Can you use it in a sentence?
As you're sitting in your base in place, that's actually much shorter. So, show you by some bunch of other, but we can run man followed like we just. You probably know who you're logged in as. Is hacker movie and we're far more advanced and things have improved so much, why do we still have to use text commands? Well, there's a bunch of reasons. Get around, start from the basics, so you can know nothing about this terminal, never have entered a command in your life, start at the beginning and don't skip around, or if you feel confident or you know some of this stuff, jump around, use the timestamps, they are there for you. Alright, so let's start with a quick discussion around why this matters. Why should you learn these commands? Yes, at times it might seem like you're, doing stuff straight out of a 1980s hacker movie, and we're far more advanced and things have improved so much, why do we still have to use text commands? Well, there's a bunch of reasons, including the fact that you cannot do otherwise. Things, alter permissions, you learn the commands, you get used to them, you can do things way faster. We can make file new, save, would take hours. Now that's just a sort of far-fetched example, but in general, but we can actually automate things, we can speed up repetitive processes, we can save ourselves a lot of time. Another reason, it's available everywhere. So if you learn these commands, you'll be able to work on any Linux distribution. You'll be able to then switch over to a Mac if needed and use the commands on a Mac. Now on Windows, yes, it's a little bit different, so it's not technically available everywhere, but these commands we're going to learn are pretty standard across any sort of developer, software engineer career. Which leads me to the next point. It's essentially a requirement. If you want to be a web developer, data scientist, DevOps engineer, sysadmin, security admin, machine learning engineer, AI engineer, whatever, any type of coding-related career, you are probably going to need to use the command line. You will have tools that only exist. If you want to get a job, it's just part of the expected skill set. Also, a lot of cloud computing programs or services don't even have a graphical user interface. You just have to do things via a command line. And again, high-paying jobs or services don't even have a graphical user interface. You just have to do things via a command line. And again, high-paying jobs, lots of careers, lots of roles that you'll need to at least know the basics of working with terminal commands. So the next topic I'd like to quickly discuss is a little bit of context around operating systems and why these commands will work on Linux and on Mac by default, but they're not going to work on a Windows machine, at least not out of the box. So there's quite a lot of complicated history and drama around different operating systems, things being open source versus closed source, and competition, and copying each other. It's quite dramatic, but the general gist that you need to understand is that over the years, since the very early days of computing, well, maybe not the super earliest days, but we're going back to the 70s here. This is a timeline that shows, a very detailed timeline that shows operating systems and how they're connected. Anyway, in the 1970s, there was something called Unix. You can see it here. And just take a look at all of these lines, this whole family of operating systems that it spawned. So there's lots and lots of them. Everything in red here is considered in some way related or indebted to Unix. So that includes things like Linux. So in this course, I'll be using Ubuntu, which you can see here. It is a distribution of Linux, but there's many, many others. Things like Android, Chrome OS, but also other more common Linux distributions like Fedora or Red Hat. Anyway, all this Linux stuff is descended from Unix all the way back here in the 70s. Now we also will see somewhere in here all the different Mac operating systems. Here we are. So Mac OS X, we've got iOS, the Apple TV OS, Audio OS, Watch OS, all these different Apple products, all the Apple operating systems, also related to Unix. But then our good friend Windows, somewhere down here, it's not even in the same red color, just to show how it is completely different. It is in green. This world of Windows, so Windows, Windows Vista, Windows XP, Windows Mobile, Windows Phone, Xbox OS, all that stuff is over here. It's just kind of on its own. It is not related. It is not, a descendant of that original Unix operating system from way back in the 70s. Now, the reason this matters is that all of these guys in red up here, they tend to share the same commands. Unix was this operating system developed in the mid-60s at Bell Labs, really cool time, lots of innovation going on. But what matters to us today, 50 plus years later, is that lots of those innovations, lots of those new ideas and the specific commands, the actual interfaces, the way a file system was structured, all of that carries over today. Yes, it's changed, it's been expanded, but it is present in all of those red descendants of Unix. But unfortunately, for our Windows users, those commands don't exist natively on Windows. Windows has its own set of commands, its own default shell, its own way of doing things. So I'm going to talk about how we can get these Unix commands to work on Windows, but just so you understand why this is a problem in the first place, it just has to do with the history. There are so many of these OSs over the years inspired by and descended from the original Unix OS, including Linux and Mac OS, but not Windows. Only Windows over here. Alright, so now we have a basic understanding of the fact that of today's operating systems, there's really those two groups. Everything descended from Microsoft, and then kind of everything else that is in some form, some way related to Unix. Now that's a vast simplification, but again, we're just talking about popular operating systems, so Linux, Chrome, Mac OS, all these things come from Unix. Now, let's talk about Linux and Unix and all that stuff in a little bit more detail, so that you understand what exactly Linux is, why it exists. So this is a diagram from Wikipedia that shows the history going back to 1969, early Unix versions, and how it spawned all the other operating systems that are connected to it. Now what you'll see is that there are three colors. Red is closed source, or pink, and that means the code is completely closed off. You can't edit it, you can't view it, you're not allowed to even try to tweak it. Then we have open source, which you may be familiar with that term. The code is openly viewable. You can change it, tweak it, make your own versions, try things out. And then there's in yellow this mixed/shared source type of operating systems. So what you'll see here is that early on, on, Unix and a lot of other operating systems in the early days were mixed or shared source. But then there was a plethora of closed source operating systems that were very walled off, and you were not allowed to do anything with that code. You were not allowed to view, edit, tweak, and so free about code run undertaking, creating an operating system. And at the same time, this other in a moment, but this kernel he was working on, he called it Linux, and a kernel is a very complicated and critical part of an operating system. It is the thing that basically sits between the hard computer. Didn't have a kernel. But what happened is that Richard Stallman was working in the physical hardware of the computer. So what happened is that Richard Stallman working on a kernel, and Torvalds ended up so I don't get any negative comments here, there is a bit of controversy over the name of the resulting operating system. Often, people use it to refer to the entire components. A bunch of closed, so B1 in green, standards, and it's a complicated process, and there's money, right, as a true, considered true important management system, a whole bunch of other things of operating Bash or Z Shell, or you maybe never have heard of them, but there's this concept, there's a physical device with a keyboard, you go over and you enter your commands into the terminal. Today, terminal is just a piece of software, it's an application using in that terminal window. By default on Ubuntu and most Linux distributions, that shell is called Bash. There are many other shells out there though. These days, the shell is called Z Shell, ZSH. Another very popular shell is Fish. There are many other shells out, humans or it's the operating system common default shell. And the name, if you're wondering, it comes from born again, pretty much. So, I command.
And we're back. The team is looking down the barrel of a 4:55 meeting.
In here, install Ubuntu, and this is a terminal application. I just search for terminal. I'm going to be running my commands in here. Probably change the color. A built-in terminal application. I just search for terminal. I'm going to be running my commands in here. Probably change the color. And terminal application. I just search for terminal. I'm going to be running my commands in here.
Adventure time.
Probably change the color. And this is where I'll type my commands. So if you are on a Mac, you do not need to go and install Ubuntu. But Mac user, users who already have Ubuntu, here's the terminal app. You just search for it, and we'll run our commands there. Now, if you are a Mac user, remember it's part of this Unix family, Unix-like operating systems. All the commands I'm going to show you will work on the Mac. All you need to do is search for terminal, and it'll probably look a bit different than this, but you will have a terminal where you can run the same commands I show you. So over here on Ubuntu, when I show the PSA terminal, where you can run the same commands I show you. So over here on Ubuntu, when I show the PSAXWW command, it works. I show you. So over here on Ubuntu, when I show the PSAXWW command, it works. You don't need to run this, by the way. But over here on my Mac, same thing, PSAXWW. It also works, and it will actually learn.
Used to display information about running process. The PSAXW command specifically provides a detailed view of all processes on the system along with their full command lines. Here's a breakdown of each part. It's almost 12. PSA show all processes system with a terminal TTY and use without a terminal. X include that do not leave a controlling terminal. This typically includes Debian process and background Java. WW provides a wide format of the output, ensuring that all the full command lines are shown without truncation. Truncation. What is truncation? Limiting the number of digits. Shortening system by cutting off a part of it.
Let's see the answer. It converts the standard input into command line argument. Okay, so we can see an example here, cat filelist.txt, and we are reading the file, okay, here, and we are passing in this file, we have the list of different files, the name of the files, so we can pass those name one by one to wc-l, and it will give you the result as the number of lines present in each file. Question number 29, how can you find the number of files application, we do have the combinations of function. One way I can show you is ls
ls
-1
-l,
and then
WC
wc-l.
Learn what this is, but it gives me a bunch of stuff. All right, Windows users, it's your turn. Let's talk about installation and the steps you need to go through in order here on Ubuntu. When I choose like PSAXWW, it'll talk about install each div and on Windows. It's that we do this. There's really two options. There used to only be one. We used to have a virtual machine. It's a pain to install. It's totally isolated from your actual Windows operating system, and it can be slow, can have a lot of overhead. Now, instead, we have a really cool, fancy option called WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. This is actually put out by Microsoft, and it allows us to run a Linux environment directly on.
Nice. I should know this.
On Windows or inside of Windows. So it's not isolated, it's not a virtual machine.
I have
It actually
Windows.
works directly inside of Windows. It's just a command line version of Linux, to be clear. So we're not going to have a
Nice.
separate desktop. You're not going to have all the apps and stuff that I have
Oh,
with Ubuntu.
so
But
sad.
that's kind of the point. You can still be a
Okay.
Windows user and have Linux commands
No
from the
problem.
command line. So it's really, really cool. It's updated pretty frequently. It's still under active development. With build number 19041 or higher, recommend going to this webpage and from nowhere you can PowerShell, which I have a look for WHAV. You just search. I can type -- inspiration requires elevation. So this is telling me
So it's
that
our
I
Windows
have
now.
admin privileges or permissions to do that. So why is that happening? Well, I need as administrator here. All right, and that opens me up a new window. It says administrator, Windows PowerShell, and we try again. WSL -- install. Whoops,
Nice.
hopefully. And if not, I guess you'll watch me debug it.
Hey. I like the blue background better than the black.
Well, it's installed WSL a year or two ago for a different course. You actually had to go and download your Linux distribution separately. But now, let's reboot. Okay, so once that finishes up, I read the thing before. Now I have an app I can run called Ubuntu. It opens up to me to set up Linux. I'm running Ubuntu on my Windows machine. SAXWW. There are PWD and who am I? Just to show a couple simple ones, or PSAXWW. There are lots and lots of commands we're going to cover, and they now will work. These commands are running on Windows. Now, there's some additional setup you can go through. If you go to the installation documentation we just did, that you can also install an app called Windows Terminal. And the Windows Terminal is, remember, Terminal is just an application, sort of all the Windows Terminal app. And you can make it look all nice and pretty, and run Ubuntu from inside Windows Terminal, rather than Windows Terminal app. And you can make it look all nice and pretty, and run Ubuntu.
Start up Windows Terminal.
Terminal is just a more sort of fancy, better features, more customizable terminal application. So you do not need to do this. But if you want to, you can install the Windows Terminal app, and you can make it look all nice. And so one more time, perfectly serviceable just to use this terminal. But if you want to get Windows Terminal, if you're serious about mastering all this stuff and working as a developer or some other, you want to use Terminal day in and day out, Windows Terminal is just the better option. It has more features. So I'm going to install it. I'm going to download it just from Windows website or Microsoft's website. And now that it's finished, I'll click Launch. And remember, a terminal is just a piece of software that can connect or interact with different shells. So right now it opened up with PowerShell, which is not what we want to use in this course. First of all, let's see if I can just make this larger font for you. There we go. Okay, it's a little bit larger now. So as you can see, it's using PowerShell. But I can click this little drop-down arrow here and switch over to instead use Ubuntu. So now I'm in Ubuntu. You can see my prompt changes here. It has my YouTube. You can customize the appearance and all of that. So if we go to settings, you can go down to Ubuntu. You can set up different appearance, font size. But what you can also do is set the default profile to be Ubuntu. And if we save that, it now means when I make a new window, if I just do plus, it is Ubuntu. You can see my little Linux penguin, that's the logo there.
Nice.
And we're now up and running with Windows Terminal. There's a lot you can do to customize it, but that's not really the point of this course. So now you have it. Run your commands here. When you see me run them in Ubuntu, run them here. Okie dokie. That should hopefully wrap up installation. Whether you are actually running Linux, like I am right now, Ubuntu, this is the desktop version. I have the terminal open. I will be running my commands right here. But if you're not, maybe you're using a Mac. So here's my Mac. I've got my terminal open right here. I'll run commands inside the terminal application here. They'll work just the same. And then finally, if you're on Windows, hopefully you install WSL. So here we are. I'm running, this is Windows Terminal. I make sure I'm running Ubuntu here. I run my commands right here. So whichever one you're on, just make sure you know where you're going to be running those commands. If you're on Windows, make sure it's not PowerShell. because you'll run into problems. We want to make sure we are running Ubuntu so that our Unix commands will work. Otherwise, they won't. Yes, by the way, all three of these are on one computer right now. I got Linux, Windows, and my Mac. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so now that we hopefully have everything installed correctly, we can go ahead and get started. Now, before we do, the first thing I just want to make clear is that, for the most part, there's no order to the commands in this video. It's a bunch of commands, and they're useful, and most of them don't really have to do with one another or depend on each other. But early on, right now, I'm going to go through some of the very basic commands, and there is a logical order to how I'm going to teach them. All of that is to say, if you're a complete beginner, stay right here, and we'll go through the basics in order. But if you have experience, if you know the basics of ls and man and cd and pwd, you may want to skip ahead. So check out the timestamps in the description below, and click on whatever command looks interesting or you'd like to learn more about. But if you are new, stick with me. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so before we talk about commands, let's talk about not commands. In my prompt, if I start typing really anything, and I hit enter, the shell is going to try and process that and figure out what command I'm referring to. But I'm not referring to any valid command, so I get a message that says command not found. Same thing on a Mac. Type gibberish, we get command not found. Same thing over here on my Windows machine, although I'm running Linux on Windows, and I get command not found. Okay, hopefully not that surprising. So what we want to do is type commands that actually make sense, that the computer can figure out what we're referring to, and then run some corresponding program for us. And the first really simple one I'm going to show you is maybe not that useful, but it's just a good demonstration of a simple command. It is who am I? All one word, no spaces. Who am I? All lowercase. It's going to print the username of the currently logged in user. So maybe not something you need to do all the time. You probably know who you're logged in as, though there are uses for this, especially in scripting, if you write scripts later on. But anyway, if I just run it here, who am I? Over here on my Ubuntu installation, I am scripting, if you write scripts later on. But anyway, if I just run it here, who am I?
We'll tell you who you logged in as.
Ubuntu installation, I am logged in as Colt. That is the username I have. Here's my Mac. I run who am I? My username is slightly different. It's my full name, Colt Steele. And I think on Windows it's just Colt as well. Alright, so that's our first official command. But it is important to note, who am I, like this,
First official
is not the
command
same
at
thing at all.
32 minutes.
There's no real autocomplete or spell check or anything like that.
So you see, it did not find the command
Terminal's just going to take what you
because
give it
it
and
does not have space.
try and find that. First command we'll look at is called, doesn't do anything to our system, it's purely informative. AN, who am I? Okay, so the next command we'll look at is called man.
Manual
command, M-A-N, is short process information things. So command name, to get a manual page entry for that command. So we can, screen changes pretty drastically. Print the username associated, we can find it, so you would actually find it down.
So you can see, we did man, who am I,
And just that, we can run man,
to get the manual
followed by
of who am I.
commands like who am I?
It'll give you the manual of who am I.
Hit enter.
So it gives you manual of who am I.
And our screen changes pretty drastically. The command description, the command pages. Who am I? If I type things, I start to see a whole bunch of other text appear. I'm actually looking at some help that tells you, or I hit H. But anyway, if I type man, followed by some command, if I want to get out of here, type keep. And now I can type commands again. If I type man, followed by some command, if I want to get out of here, type keep. And now I can type commands again. So if I try and run man on its own, it's going to tell me what manual page do you want. This is a manual command. I need to know what you want a manual for. So we can actually do man.
Right, man.
And that gives us the man page for the need to know what you want a manual for. So we can actually do man. And that gives us the man page for the man command. It's an interface to the system reference manuals. There's a bunch here. One thing I'll just point out quickly is that we can scroll by using the mouse. That is one option. But it's a lot easier to scroll one page at a time by hitting space. There's a lot of text here, and I can scroll down by hitting space, rather than having, I can also use the arrow keys, by the way, to go one line at a time, up and down, which is what I'm doing right now. Space to go down a page at a time, Q to get out of here. All right, so that's the man command, nice and simple, hopefully, very useful, especially when we have more complicated commands. The next command is also nice and straightforward. It is called clear, C-L-E-A-R. And this command will clear your terminal screen. It is useful, although I'll also show you a shortcut that you can use in place that's actually much shorter. So CLEAR will clear the mess on your screen if you have a bunch of stuff here, like I do. CLEAR, enter, and it's gone. So I'll just show another example of that over here. This is on my Mac. Let's do some more commands. How about man clear? Let's just take a look at that. Here is the manual page for the clear command.
Nice.
It clears the terminal screen.
So manual for clear screen. It's very easy. Man clear.
Clear.
We'll give you manual for clear.
Let's just take a look at that. Here is the manual page. Let's just pretend it's all valid commands. I want to get rid of it.
And press clear.
All right,
Clear.
nice and easy.
Coding boot camps require you to quit your job. What if you could earn income while learning how to code? This is Caleb. Caleb was once a burnt-out English teacher with no prior code.
Now, let's take a look again at the man page for Clear.
Man,
This
clear.
is on Ubuntu.
That's what I was doing.
Screen license to the commands. We can see under options a description of what these different options do.
And curses, which
Now,
we
the one
had
I want
used
to
in
talk
the
about is
program.
-X. Now, I don't use this frequently, but it's just a good intro to options here. It says that it does not attempt to clear the terminal's scroll back buffer using the extended E3 capability. I have no idea what that part means. But what this means overall is that when we clear with the -X option, it is not going to clear our scroll history. So I'm going to get out of here and demonstrate this. Okay, none of those are valid commands. I can scroll
It's
back
gonna
and
go up.
see those commands. I demonstrate this. So okay, none of those are valid commands.
You.
I can scroll back and
I love
see
you.
those commands. And if I type regular clear, it's gone. I can't scroll back. That history is gone. Now, if I recreate some of that, hello there, I love you. Lots.
Wait.
Back. That history is gone. Now, if I recreate some of that, hello there, I love you. Lots. Scroll back. That history is gone. Now, if I recreate some of that, hello there, I love commands. I can scroll back and see there. Out of here and demonstrate this. So I'm going to hit Q.
Okay.
Those are valid commands. I can scroll back and see those commands.
Okay.
And if I type regular clear,
Regular clear, it will delete everything.
it's gone. I can't scroll back. That history is gone. Now if I recreate some of that, hello there, I love you.
Hey. Is that my Dodi? Is that my Dodi, bacha?
If I use clear, at this time I provide -X. That's our first
-X.
example of an option. There will be tons of commands we see that accept options, and they can drastically change the behavior of a command. I'm going to hit enter, and it clears.
Okay.
But I
But you
can
can scroll up. Nice.
So I don't use that often, honestly. I'm not showing it to you because it's something you need to know. I'm showing it to you because it's an intro to options. I don't use that often, honestly. I'm not showing it to you, and it clears. But I can scroll. So I don't use that often, honestly. I mentioned there's a shortcut, and I don't really type the clear command anyway. The shortcut is Control L. So if I have a bunch of stuff again, I want to get rid of it. Control L, and it's gone. The shortcut is Control L. So if I have a bunch of stuff again, I want to get rid of it. Control L, and it's gone. So that's definitely
Control L.
easier than typing clear. It also works over here on my Mac. Works on WSL. Just Control L. Oh.
It's Control L. What is this? Control L. Or Control L. Let me take a screenshot of this. Ready? Control L. Yo. Perfect. Shit.
Okay, so that's a clear command, nice and easy. The next command is also nice and easy. It is PWD. It stands for Print Working Directory. And this is a command that just so nice and easy.
Print working directory.
PWD. It stands for. So let's start with man, PWD, and it tells us.
And this is the man for
Tells us
PWD.
our current location in a given terminal window. So let's start with man, PWD, and it tells us.
It'll give you the
PWD,
manual of
print the name your
PWD.
current/working directory.
Current
I have
working
the current
directory.
directory that I'm inside of. I'm viewing right now on my
Yes.
desktop, as you can see, it's selected there.
So he's in a current working directory, right?
Or I can view documents, or I can view my home folder. This would be my current working directory, home,
Okay.
in this window right here. But in a terminal, it's a little bit different. Let me get out of this
In a
main page here.
terminal?
Hit Q. If I type PWD, it tells me
It tells you you're in home, core to desktop. So you see, It tells us the same thing. You're in home. It's in the folder. Home user desktop. Same thing.
In text, where my location is. So in this window, I am on the desktop, which is located in the code folder inside of /home. Over
Home
here,
code
this
folder
is a
desktop.
different terminal window. It has a different location, just like I can have multiple file picker
Home desktop right there, huh?
windows. Here's another one. This one's in my home directory, and this one's in desktop. Same idea. So I can have, in this case, pwd, a terminal window that is in /home/cold/bin. And here's one more different window. A much longer path. This is the full path to
Home
get to my
code
location.
desktop
Now,
nano
I
exercise
shown you how to
testing.
move, so you probably don't have something like this set up with these different windows. By default, you can actually configure the default location of a new terminal window. For me, when I make a new terminal window, just click that button there. You can also use a shortcut. It defaults to the desktop, at least on Ubuntu. Over here on my Mac, when I make a new window, it defaults to what is called my home directory /users/my username. You can configure all of this, but it doesn't really matter where you are at the moment. All that matters is that you can find it by typing pwd. All right, so the next command we're going to cover is called ls. The ls command is short for list, and we use it to do just that. It will list the contents.
This is our fourth command of
so we can
today.
see what is inside of a directory. Normally,
We did
if you're
clear,
using
we did
a
man,
interface,
we did
you can
PWD,
just
we're
see
doing
contents of a folder. But in a terminal
ls
window,
list.
that is not how things work at all. We have to ask for a list of the contents. So here on my
ls
desktop, as you can see here in PWD, it says /desktop, though on Ubuntu it does show you your current location. Anyway, if I actually look at my desktop, I can see a bunch of stuff there, and I can list it out using the ls command. So if I run ls with nothing else, just ls, it's going to list the contents of
Everything.
whatever current directory I'm inside of. In this window, quite odd here, I've got wildlife, we get a bunch of text. Contents of whatever current directory I'm inside of. In this window, it's the desktop. And here we go.
Desktop has a lot.
I've got files like great white, but that /bin directory, I'll type ls, I see different contents. If I try it somewhere else, here I'm in this /bin directory, I'll type straight on my Mac here, this is my home, different contents.
Yep.
I see a bunch of other stuff, right? This is different. I see folders from my course.
So here's the ls. It gives you a list of wherever you are.
Learn the 50 most popular Linux. Cold is
Oh,
an
shit.
extremely popular instructor, and for good reason.
You can see on that massive account. And this username, and then run some corresponding to go down. Useful is X and Control E. By the contents of it. So here I'm L inside of S and or inside of. For example, type Harry and one folder name is now 2. Ran if we and Nico survey. Doesn't sound like wildlife to me, but then I can tab complete, so I don't have to type the whole thing, and hit enter. And I have no idea why I have a wildlife folder that contains 3 text files called Angela 1 and Nico survey. Doesn't sound like, and it has nested folders inside. So now we can even burrow further in if we wanted to. From my current location on the desktop, I could look inside of Meal Diary and look inside of Friday by doing this.
What's this?
ls meal diary /fry, and I'm using tab complete. So I'm giving it a path that is beyond. It's not just one folder name; it's now 2 that I want it to peek inside of. So peek inside of this, and we have breakfast, dinner, and lunch.
Nice.
So I can actually run this again, and let's see what's inside of breakfast. I don't know if there's anything in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to recall the previous
Meal
line
diary
using
Friday
audio,
breakfast.
and then just add a B and hit tab.
Nice.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. No, it's a bit of a letdown. So that's one example of using ls, where we provide a file, or rather a folder path, but we can provide a full, what's called an absolute path, to any location on our machine. So this file, breakfast, or this folder, is inside of Friday, is inside of Meal Diary, which is nested in the desktop, which is where I currently am, right? PWD, I'm on the desktop. But maybe I want to see what's inside of my documents folder, and documents is not on my desktop. Well, one option is to do this, ls, and then the full path to my documents, which is /home/cult/ I think it's uppercase, documents. So I'm using tab completion again, so I don't type that myself. I don't know if there's much in there. Nope, just a single file, but we can see kenneth.txt. Now, I could get there, right, by just opening the file picker, going to documents. Yes, I see it.
Nice.
TXT. Now,
Home
I could
code
get there,
documents.
Right, by just opening the file picker, go documents.
It's the same, right? In Windows, it's that easy. I mean, actually, that's how we're
but
GUI.
there are some special things
Linux.
you can do with the ls command to the terminal as well. But just to recap what I showed there, we can
Terminal
provide what's called a relative path.
versus-
So relative to our current location, I could just say, show me, list the contents of Meal Diary. But that only works if I'm on the desktop. If I'm somewhere else, I can't just reference Meal Diary.
Yeah,
I need
you have to
reference
give the
full
whole path.
And that's exactly what I did down here.
Nice.
It's documents. The documents folder is not in my desktop, so I can't do ls documents. it's going to tell me I don't know what you're talking about.
Shit.
It doesn't exist. Here on the desk, I can see, it's not exciting, I can see there's one file. All right, so now let's talk about some of the options ls accepts. So let's, your contents, your command, or use Control-L, a bunch of different options. On man ls, it tells us it does list a lot of them. Very useful. The first one is dash
ls-a,
so it's
L.
right here in the format. So this means I can take a look around with ls. So there's a lot we're not going to go over here. I can instead add dash L and get a whole bunch of other information. So there's a lot we're not going to go over here, but there's file permissions, there's the owner of the file, there's the group owner, there's file size information, modification date, the file name. So a lot of stuff here for each individual file. So that is dash L. Now another thing we'll take a look at, another option.
ls-LTR.
All it says is that it does not ignore entries starting with a dot. Quite a few. Dot bash.
ls-a.
Dot
These are the dot files.
File. My Mac, lots and lots of files that start with or something. There's probably some different ones on your machine.
Hidden
For
files.
example, here, ls-a. On my Mac, lots and lots of files that start with dot. They don't show up if I do a regular ls, which you can see right there. Nothing starts with a dot. Now we can combine options as well. So if I want to, clear the screen, I can do ls-a to see all files, including ones that are hidden. Dash L, I want the long format. That is one way of doing it, but the much shorter and more common way is actually just using a single dash for regular files and files and folders that start with a dot.
Hidden.
Shorter and more common way is actually just using a
And
single
long
dash
list.
and put your options together. So dash AL or dash LA, I see the long format, all the information for regular files and files and folders that start with a dot. So we're getting both of those options taking effect at the same time. So that's an intro to the ls command. So we've seen how to find our current working directory, where we are, and list the contents of that directory. Now, how do we move around? How do we do the equivalent of what I'm doing right here in the File Explorer, double-clicking on the desktop and then going into this folder, or going back? How do I move around like I am right here? Well, in the terminal, the way that we do that is by using the cd command. cd is short for change directory. Now, the first thing you'll notice, if you try and is by using the cd command. cd is short for change directory. Now, the first thing you'll notice, if you try and read the man page for cd, it does not exist. It just isn't there. When I try it on my Mac, I see something, but it is not a man page for cd. If we look up here, it's a man page for a bunch of commands. Tons of specifics, really at all. Just I want you to know that you're not going to find a super helpful man page for cd. It's one of the few commands that we'll cover that does not have a man page. However, you can run help. It's a different command. It's like the shell's version of man. Help space cd.
It doesn't have a man page. This one has no man page.
It's kind of annoying. It just prints out text. You don't enter that program where you can scroll nicely. It just takes up a whole bunch of text, but it does tell us it changes the shell working directory. Change the current directory. There are some options. We're not really going to use those, however. Let's just see how it works. So I'm going to clear my screen first of all. Remind you where I am in this window. I am in my home/cult folder. If I type ls, I see a bunch of other folders. So let's say I want to move into one of those folders. How about my desktop? Well, the way that I do that is by writing cd and then specifying that path. So I'm just going to do DE tab. Hit enter, and you'll see my prompt changes. If I type PWD, you can see my location has changed to be home/cult/desktop. Before, it was just home/cult. So you can see my location has changed to be home/cult/desktop. Before, it was just home/cult. So I just jumped. I just double-clicked into that folder, but I didn't click anything. It was all done via the terminal. So I type ls, I'm on the desktop now. Let's go into the mail diary folder, cd, into mail diary. All right, and we're now in here. I can cd into about Friday, type ls or pwd, you can see I'm now at this pretty long path. If I type ls, let's cd into breakfast. So that's a really common thing, ls and then immediately after cd. You use ls to look around and then cd to change directories into something that you just found. So now I'm in this folder, breakfast, and I've hit a dead end. There's no more folders to cd into. How would I get back out? Right, normally,
You go to
if
CD
I did the
dot
exact same thing. So on my desktop with the graphical user interface, it was meal diary, is that right? If I can find that. I double click, Friday, breakfast. Okay, how do I go somewhere else? Well, I have a bunch of options. I can hit the back button. I can use these buttons up top to jump around. But here, how do I go back with the cd command? Well, the answer is to use cd followed by dot. So 2 dots is a special path that indicates or refers to the parent directory. ls is the contents of the Friday directory.
Nice.
If I cd dot, here's how I can back up out. So 2 dots is a special path that indicates, well, the answer is
Right here.
to use cd followed by dot.
Back to the home folder.
So 2 dots is a special path that indicates or refers to the parent directory. So it's how I can back up one folder. Right now, in one step, CD, and to one folder at a time, one level at a time, I can jump to any location, go back further, and repeat it, and now I'm back on my desktop. Go back one level, I can go back further, and repeat it.
No, he's back. Meal diary, desktop, meal diary Friday. He's going back. Right here he was in breakfast. He went CD ... He came in Friday.
And now I'm back on my desktop. Now I can also, instead of just CDing into one folder at a time, one level at a time, I can jump to any location on my machine as long as I have the full correct path.
CD.
So if I wanted to go back to where we just were, which was this location here, right? Desktop,
Okay, copy
meal
it.
diary, Friday /
Copy
breakfast.
it, copy
I can
it.
do that in one step.
CD, and then that's it.
Meal diary / Friday. I'm using tab / breakfast. So I don't have to do 3 separate CDs. I can jump as many levels as I want. And the same actually goes for moving backwards. I don't have to do CD ... enter. CD ... enter.
You could do CD
If I want
dash.
to move back multiple levels, I can chain it together. I can do
Dash.
this. One
Yeah,
option.
I mean slash
So it's
dot
a
dot.
little clunky to do it this way, but it does work. So this is going to take me back one parent folder, and then its parent
Or
folder.
you can do
its
CD.
parent folder.
That's
and now
it.
I type PWD, I'm back on the desktop.
Or
I can
CD
also pass
dash.
an absolute path to CD, so everything we've done has been relative to our current location. But if I want to go to my documents folder, well, it's not here. It's not in the desktop. I can't do CD documents. If I try, it doesn't know what documents folder I'm talking about. It's only looking for
Okay, fine.
And there's nothing called documents on the desktop. My documents folder is located at this path. It is /home/cult/documents. And I can jump right there. It doesn't matter where I am. I can run that command anywhere. And I'll be able to get to documents. I'm now
Nice.
in documents. One other note around CD and path names. You'll see this tilde. That refers, it's a shorthand that is eventually expanded into your home directory. Now, it's kind of confusing because this is called home, but the home directory for each user is a directory with their username. So for me, it's cult. So if I CD to tilde, and I do PWD, it takes me to /home/cult. If you
Nice.
CD to tilde, it will take you to whatever your
Tilde.
username folder is.
Tilde.
This folder is a very important place. It has the desktop, it has documents, downloads, a whole bunch of stuff. You can put your own things in here too, but even just if you do nothing, it contains a lot of important folders and documents. So that's kind of the basics of CD. You can CD into a location that's relative to where you are, like desktop. I can do multiple levels at once. I can back out with CD ... We combine it often with LS. Take a look around. Where do I want to go? Let's go into wildlife. CD, wildlife. Okay, I got some stuff in here, and I'm not going to do anything with it. Let's back out. And I can also pass an absolute path at any points, which is, again, a full path name, not relative to our current location. So that is the CD command. So and how things are organized. And I can also pass an absolute path at any point, which is, again, a full path name, not relative to our current location. So that is the CD command. So next up, I want to talk a little bit more about folder structure and how...
Folder structure.
all absolute paths about folder structure and how things are organized. If you notice, when I talked about absolute paths, all absolute paths started with a /. And the reason for this is that the very, very highest level directory on our machine is the / directory, also known as the root directory, which is really confusing. People call this root, but there's also a directory called root, R-O-O-T. Definitely confusing. In the same way that people refer to, my home directory, Colt, that's my username, that would be Colt's home directory, but there's also a directory called home. It's not the most straightforward thing. So the top level directory
Where's the
is
comments?
/. We can actually go there if we wanted to. From anywhere on my machine, I can do cd/. If I take a look around, we've got a bunch of stuff that we
Where's the
normally don't use,
comments?
at least not as a typical day-to-day user. If you start writing scripts, if you
I don't
start
see any
doing
comments.
admin stuff, absolutely, there are changes you can make here. But we can look around. There's a bunch of different files or folders and things called symlinks that we'll learn more about later on in this video. And that's kind of all I'm going to show in this directory because there's just so much here. But what I want to mention is that your desktop, your documents, your music, your whatever files and folders you make typically are going to live inside of the home directory, inside of your particular username. So for me, my username is Colt, and now it's home directory. Inside of your particular username. So IBM has their own that we would expect. I just wanted to reiterate how this all did. As I said, location is the tilde here, which refers to your individual home directory. So if I cd to tilde, I'm logged in as Colt. That will take me to /home/Colt, as you can see right here. Okay. And that's all I really wanted to mention around folder structure. Of course, there's a lot more. There's all these folders here. Okay. Take me to /home/cold, as you can see right here. Okay. And that's all I really wanted to mention around folder structure. Of course, there's a lot more. There's all these folders. There's dozens of folders here that we're not going to discuss. Everything we're doing lives inside of our particular username home folder.
So we'll stop right here.
/home/Lily/home/cold.
If you have a love of languages, you may want to consider a career in the Navy.
As a cryptologic check.
And then remember this difference between relative and absolute paths. If I wanted to go, let's see, where am I right now? I'm in my home directory. If I want to go onto my desktop from here, I can just cd into desktop. That is relative to my current location. But as we talked about, that only works if I am in a place where I can view the desktop. It is in my current folder. So basically the only place this would work is from my home directory right here. But if I go to /, I'm not going to be able to just cd into desktop. I can't autocomplete. There is no desktop right here. So I need to use an absolute path. And I could do the full long name, cd/home/cold/desktop like that. Or I can do a slightly shorter version. Use that tilde character, which refers to my home directory /desktop. Okay, moving on.
Home directory /desktop.
The next command we'll cover
Is make directory. This creates folders.
to do with making
stop
directories,
here,
making
inshallah.
folders. It is mkdir, or make dir, however you want